Pittsburgh, the Steel City, is known as a blue-collar, hard-working, grinded-out kind of city. And for everyone who's not Tony Elias, it's time to show some Steel City grit, buckle down, and get to work. With only 6 races remaining in the season, can the 2017 champion hold on to his lead and regain the crown? Or can the rest of the field apply enough pressure, forcing Tony into a mistake? It's time to get MotoAmerica Superbikes fired up right now on FS2. Time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, round 8 of 10 for 2019 from Pittsburgh International Race Complex in Wampum, Pennsylvania. Hello everyone and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, who's won 2 titles at this level. Now Jason, as we head into the EBC Brakes Superbike class, there are 2 stories going on. One is the championship battle, where most of the season it's been Tony Elias and Cameron Beaubier, but all of a sudden we find ourselves with a race-winning Garrett Gerloff.
Yeah, the last 2 rounds, Garrett Gerloff has been on absolute fire, from his win at Laguna Seca to his win at Sonoma, Greg. And I think that what that's done is it's thrown him right back in the mix in the championship, along with Tony Elias and Cameron Beaubier.
And Garrett Gerloff was so fast on Friday, the lap times that he was pulling was only a couple tenths off of what Superpole was last year. A sign of the times of development, or do you think the conditions of the racetrack, or what?
Confidence. I think when you have a great team around you, and he's on his 2nd year now with Yamaha, we've seen what he's done in the past in 600. I just think he's riding a high right now, and he's taking that momentum, and he's going from track to track with it, and showing that he's throwing his hat in there for this championship.
And the last time we raced was Sonoma Raceway, and what happened was very interesting. Let's take a look at those race highlights.
If you missed the action in Sonoma, this is what you missed. On the 2nd lap, Cameron Beaubier goes up underneath Tony Elias in turn 4 and tosses what looked like the championship down the road, as his teammate Garrett Gerloff went on to win his 2nd race of the year in race number 1. Tony Elias comes across in 2nd and then has a big 59-point lead going into race 2, but going into turn 7 on lap 2 on Sunday, he tosses it down the road and opens the door right back up for Cameron Beaubier as he goes on and takes a convincing win over his teammate Garrett Gerloff in race 2.
Looking at this graphic, it tells the story of the drama of Sonoma. Elias had a 39-point lead coming in. Then all of a sudden, Beaubier's on the deck, and Tony has got a 59-point lead. But then in race 2, when Tony goes down, it's that Beaubier win that nets him 5 extra points over the weekend. Absolutely crazy. We had a chance to catch up with Cameron Beaubier and Tony Elias on 2 varying opinions on where we are now.
Well, I think, honestly, we're in a pretty good spot right now because my teammate Garrett, he's going really fast. He's right on my heels, and I'm a little bit of ways, 34 points back off Tony or something like that. So I think, in reality, it's actually pretty good for the championship. It's exciting for 1, and for 2, like, Tony doesn't have to just worry about me. He's got to worry about Garrett also. So it's gonna be interesting.
God put everything in the back to the right place for everyone, no? Because if he didn't crash Saturday, with my crash on Sunday, everything was very bad for me, and Saturday was really bad for him. So okay, let's share the it for everyone, and is what happened. But it was really disappointing for me.
All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back on this one, well, Josh Herron, can he win his 2nd here at PittRace? But these other 2 guys, what about them? Can they win their 1st? We're getting ready to find out.
I've been riding for about 35 years.
I've been designing motorcycle race tyres for 33 years and riding a motorcycle for about 30 years.
We've got a team of hardcore enthusiasts. My field salespeople, 100% of them ride motorcycles. It really makes a difference in the way people respect you, approach you, and listen to what you have to say.
Right now I have a Triumph Tiger 800 adventure bike, which is a fantastic way to tour the country. My experience on a bike is very helpful in terms of trying to understand the riders and speaking the language they speak. I understand gestures, I understand what this means,
In my departments, the engineers working for me on motorcycle tyre design, about 60% are enthusiasts. We do track days, we do touring, we go to rallies, we go to events on our own motorcycles.
They get to bring that information back to our product planning teams, and the product planning teams in turn create better products for the end user. Some hardcore enthusiasts that do a lot of track days, including the team that works right here in the MotoAmerica paddock. There's no substitute for that. When they're working with the best riders in the world to design tires and they understand what those guys go through, when they talk about a feel in a corner, it makes all the difference in the world for us when we're designing tires. We're very blessed to have that many engineers and enthusiasts on our team at Dunlop.
All right, welcome back to Wampum, Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh International Race Complex. And the third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa, is doing work on the grid right now. Hannah, what's up?
I've got Kyle Wyman here. Kyle, you got a new swing arm from Ducati Corsa at Sonoma last round. Have you noticed a big difference in your setup here this weekend with that in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing really is, you know, we have a little bit more adjustability with it, so we can go a little bit longer than we could before, and we have some other links that we can try that we haven't really yet, but we're here and we're on the second row of the grid for the first time all year with this Ducati, so I'm really looking forward to the race. I think we've got a pretty good pace, and you know, the genuine Broster Chicken guys have put a good bike underneath us this weekend and are here with a lot of support, so let's go racing.
Thanks, Kyle. Best of luck out there. Another rider who's been riding incredibly well this weekend is Jake Lewis. He's been running right in that top 5, so let's check in with him really quickly. Jake, been running up front all weekend, starting on the front row. Do you think you have the pace to make it to the podium?
I mean, hell, I hope so. You know, that's kind of what got me here. You know, I haven't been outside the top 3 in every session so far this weekend, and the whole M4 XR Suzuki guys have put a heck of a bike underneath of me, and it's kind of up to me now. You know, my pace has been really good throughout all the sessions, and I wouldn't say it's a gamble that I'm going on soft. You know, we've done all of our work on the soft tire and have a good bike set up underneath of us. So just going to give it my all, and hopefully I'll be talking to you before too long.
Thanks, Jake. Greg, Jason, you're going to have to keep an eye on that rear tire of Jake's bike.
Yeah, definitely, because he's going for the soft. Is the temperature right for it? We're going to find out. Still more coming up from Pittsburgh International Race Complex after this. Championship of Pittsburgh here in Wampum, Pennsylvania at PittRace for round 8 of the MotoAmerica Championship. Get ready to get underway for the EBC Brakes Superbike class. Riders are on the grid before they take their warm-up lap. And Jason Pridmore, this is an absolutely spectacular facility here.
Great facility, great racetrack, a lot of fun. I think if you go around the paddock and you ask the guys, what do you think of the track? The word fun comes up a lot because it just has so many cool things about it. So it's a very fun place to ride, and I'm glad the weather's held out for us today.
So let's take a look at the track map here. 2.78 mile road course. You got 8 lefts and 11 rights. It's constructed back in 2001, but they made an addition to the track more recently, and that's an asphalt change that we have. A huge up and down and beautiful facility here. It's Saturday. We're still racing on Sunday, so you got to come out and check out Pittsburgh International Race Complex. Now, Jason, it's a complicated racetrack as well.
Yep.
It has a lot of challenges. So why don't we take a look at the Suzuki track hotspots, because coming off of this Yamaha map, there are several places where we can get after on passing. So
no question. And on our graphic there, you can kind of see some of the elevation and stuff. When you look at the first turn here, it's very unique. You come up over the top of a rise. The front straightaway kind of goes down and then back up over the top of a rise into turn 1. We've seen a lot of mistakes there. It's very easy to get in there too deep. Turn 3 is really our first passing spot, and the reason I'd put that on there, Greg, is from the start, you can make some action happen in turn 3, and you can see through 4 and all the way down that big hill is very, very fun area. Turn 7 through 10. I put this up there because this is a series of S's. Really, your entry speed into turn 7 can really set the speed that you're going to roll through the rest of the S's in. If you go out there and you watch and you listen to the riders through here, a lot of throttle control through this little area, as well as being comfortable at lean angle. Turn 14 is an area of the racetrack where you brake pretty hard going into this turn, and then you head up a little rise, go back or down a big rise rather, and then into this fast kink that you see. Turn 14, when you're tipping it in there, you can't actually see the exit of the turn, so it makes it a little bit tricky. And this is our last spot, Greg. After we've gone through the chicane, we're going to go into turn 7, and really your last shot, obviously, to try to do something with somebody, whether it be go up underneath them or get close enough to draft them down the straightaway.
So the grid is all set, and Jason, getting the information from Dunlop on tire choices is very interesting. There is no consensus on what tires to run in this particular race, and a lot of that has to do with the track temperature, obviously the setup of the motorcycle. So it's going to be very interesting to see once the bikes roll out onto the track. You know, we have a Cameron Beaubier who's choosing his typical extra soft front, but on medium rear, and you know, of course, Jake Lewis has gone soft, so it's very interesting to see how this is going to play out for 18 laps.
No question. And you know, we don't generally have to talk too much about tires or making big choices. We see a lot of the riders most of the time doing the same type of things, and but here we definitely will have a little bit more of a choice of and you can really make the right or wrong choice in this chance here.
All right, so fans ready to get going on the EBC Brakes Superbike race. When we come back, race start. It's going to be fun. Fox Sports coverage of MotoAmerica Superbike racing from Pittsburgh International Race Complex is brought to you by EBC Brakes, official brake pads of the 2019 MotoAmerica Superbike Series. Welcome back to the Championship of Pittsburgh. As motorcycles and riders getting ready to get out on their warm-up lap. You can see the heat coming off the racetrack. Here's the starting grid. Cameron Beaubier, a 139.472 to edge out his teammate Garrett Gerloff by 1/10 of a second. Jake Lewis on the front row. Then you have a couple of factory Suzukis, Tony Elias, Josh Herron, and Kyle Wyman on that Ducati rounding out row number 3.
JD Beach started row 3, Jake Gagne, Matthew Skultz, and then we've got just a little further back, David Anthony, Cam Peterson, Max Flinders, and Sam Verderico will be back there on row 5. So when we talk a little bit about this is a kind of race where it's kind of like that Sonoma race where I feel like Tony was trying to want to get to the front and then control the pace, and it's not the easiest track to pass on. So coming from that second row is going to be difficult. And the one thing I'll have to say when we were just doing our starting lineup there is people's eyes weren't deceiving him. Those are 2 Yosh bikes on the second row. I can't remember the last time I saw that, especially when we haven't had any kind of weather or whatever it is. So some other people are going fast this weekend.
Yeah. Well, let's get down to Hannah, who has our cycle gear last-minute report.
So during the Super Pole session this morning, Matt Skultz had a bit of a mechanical issue. I talked to the team. They said there was a problem with the clutch. They got everything sorted, but unfortunately, he was not able to get a good flying qualifying lap, so he will be starting from the 9th spot on the grid today.
All right, so clutch issue you saw there in Super Pole. Thank you so much for that, Hannah. We know that team's got it sorted out. New electronics this year for the Westby Racing team, and Matthew Skultz with a new mindset coming into the last third of this championship. Sam Verderico back there. And Sam, of course, out of Washington on that Fly Racing Yamaha R1, runs the number 17. Onboard shots from Tony Elias, the number 24, the championship points leader. 34 the gap, Jason. And, you know, we'd like to say he has it under control, but what we saw last, obviously, Sonoma Raceway, was that DNF. We talked about it earlier on in the show. So really, I think a lot of people holding their breath to see what happens. We know an aggressive Cameron Beaubier threw it away as well. And all the while, there is Garrett Gerloff, who is definitely the surging rider.
No question.
Who's hanging back in this championship, only 6 behind his teammate.
Yeah, and you know, on the first 2 rows, you sit there and you look at Jake and you think how hungry Jake Lewis is I'm talking about there. And then just behind him, you know, it's the highest we've seen Kyle Wyman on the Ducati, and the bike is definitely starting to come into its own a little bit. I talked to Marshall, his crew guys, and some of the things that they've been working on, and I think that you got a couple guys now that are a little bit hungry that have not been up on those first couple of rows very often. But it's all going to be right here, Greg, this start. If Jake Lewis can get off the line the way Tony Elias can get off the line on that Suzuki, he could very well be the one leading into turn 1.
Heart rates are up. So are the revs. We're getting ready for the start of the EBC Brakes Superbike race number 1. Clutches are out. The launch. Tony Elias gets a good one coming from the outside.
And so did Jake Lewis going from the inside. So are we going to – look, you see he moved right over, Greg. So it's going to be Tony Elias in front. Garrett Gerloff's going to slot right in behind him. You can see Jake Lewis on the inside there. And this is going to be on board from Cameron Beaubier.
So Tony Elias gets exactly what he wants to do, but there goes Garrett Gerloff. He's going to go, where was Cameron Beaubier and Lewis? And they touch. And no, unbelievable.
Oh, that is just such a shame right there. And that's Cameron Beaubier went up underneath the inside of some guys there, and it just caused Jake to stand up a little bit. And you can see Cameron get up out of the seat. JD Beach up to 4th. Man, Jake Lewis, he just can't get a break. He just cannot get a break.
Cameron Beaubier looks ragged right now, like he's got no grip in the rear. Very strange watching Cameron try to muscle his Monster Energy Yamaha factory racing machine. There's Josh Herron trying to pull out some of the turf.
And Josh didn't do anything wrong in that accident. He was just caught out on the outside of Jake Lewis, it looked like. We'll see the replay again. You can see Tony Elias. He has got the guy behind him he wants, but he has to realize that the guy in front of him, and you can see Jake Lewis just gutted by that. But what happens when Garrett Gerloff gets good starts and gets out front traditionally, Greg?
Yeah, he can make quick work of this entire field. Onboard look from Tony Elias, Cameron Beaubier. I don't know if he just didn't get that tire seated in correctly, but this is usually where the Yamaha is very strong through that chicane. Tony Elias going straight to the apex, gets it slowed down. All the while, there goes Garrett Gerloff, the number 31, starting to set sail with having things his way. A good aggressive first lap pass for Gerloff.
Yep, it was a good pass from Garrett. It just started a little chain reaction, and whenever if we get a chance to see that again, Greg, we'll be able to have a look and kind of see what triggered it between obviously Jake and Josh getting together.
Yeah, because my eyes were on Cameron Beaubier. It looks like he was so far inside that he almost went over the grass.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He was very deep and inside. I kind of see this kind of reminds me a little bit of Laguna Seca, doesn't it? Where Gerloff gets out front, Cameron's trying to get by Tony the best he can.
Suzuki weather looking good. Track temperature real close to where it needs to be for those soft tires to work. 72 degrees outside, barely any breeze. Battle for second, Tony Elias. Yoshimura Suzuki sliding on the exit of that corner is the 24. Then Cameron Beaubier on that Yamaha right behind him. We saw for a moment JD Beach and Kyle Wyman roughing each other up just behind these two.
Hey, Cameron's working things pretty hard through the S's and trying to just squirt past Tony somewhere in between those rights and those lefts. Now we're going uphill into this very tricky right downhill corner. You tip it in there without seeing kind of where you want to be. See the different lines? You see how Garrett Gerloff opens up the track. He can open up the track a lot more. When he gets out front, he has a tendency to run a little bit more kind of swoopy lines, more wide, opening up the radius of turns a lot more. Even out of this last corner, him and Tony do something very similar down through this area. They'll both come out of this right, bring the bike back over to our left now. Cameron this morning, you can see he's a little bit tighter as they come onto the front straightaway. And he'll go up to 5th and then back a couple of gears to 3rd gear as they come up over the crest of this hill. So 41 flat for Garrett Gerloff, 41-1, 41-3 for Beaubier. Oh, Cameron's bike gets all out of shape again as they come up over the top. Remember, Greg, there's a lot of laps left in this race. There we go. Cameron's having a go. Not quite close enough, though.
Yeah, that would have been a long lunge.
It's a big commitment, isn't it?
It is, especially on Tony Elias. So there's heartbreak for M4X Star Suzuki.
Just so bummed for this guy. Let's have a look. See, Cameron's really up there tight. Jake just stood it up a little bit. And, yeah, man, you just got to put it down to a bit of a racing incident. I'm sure Josh was expecting Jake to turn it in. And when Jake had Cameron go up underneath him, he stood the thing up. And Josh was already committed to tipping in the bike. This guy at the front, Greg, 41.6 first split, 41.9 for these other guys. That's 3/10 just in the first sector of this track.
So a little chain reaction caused by the number 1 plate as this battle for the championship rages on. Don't forget, Garrett Gerloff is out there too. So
it's the same spot, though. This is just like Laguna all over again. Cameron Beaubier's got to try to pick his spot, and he's got to be very defiant when he gets it done to where Tony can't kind of turn it back up underneath him or do anything with him. You'll see the speed difference right here between the Suzuki and the Yamaha in the chicane. That left to that last right, the Yamaha can draw up on the back. And here comes Cameron. He's going to have a go. First shot taken.
Oh.
No.
He looked in control, though, to be honest. He looked
tried.
like he was in control of that one.
Yep.
That was the reverse flat track move, because that was a right-hand corner.
That was.
That was pretty by Cameron Beaubier, able to hold on to that motorcycle. Gerloff goes by a 140.840, fastest lap of the race for him. 41.1, 41.3 for these two.
It's one of the few times I could say Cameron's going to be impatient, and he kind of has to be. He's got. Oh, Garrett Gerloff ran off.
Oh.
I thought I saw some dirt in our camera. I thought I saw just a little hint of dust. Garrett Gerloff ran off in turn number 1. And now this battle is for the lead. I was just going to say, Cameron's seeing his teammate getting away, and it's going to make things a lot harder for him to see that happening. And now Garrett Gerloff is just giving these guys a gift.
Wow, so Gerloff with all the work to do, and all of a sudden, just like that, in the blink of an eye, it's Tony Elias who leads. Your championship points leader, the one rider no one wants to lose points to, has got it his way for the moment. It's early days in this race, so the question becomes, does Tony Elias have the pace to hold on for 18 solid laps in this position? Because Cameron Beaubier, the urgency of Cameron's body position, it just looks like he thinks he's got more.
He's lining him up.
There it goes.
I can see it coming.
Good pass for the lead. Cameron Beaubier takes over the spot. Now he's got it all to do in front of him, but we know what Tony Elias likes to do.
He did it there last year, Tony. Came back up underneath him right there. But this is going to be the difference, Greg. You're going to be able to see, I believe, Cameron Beaubier is going to get through this. Look at Garrett Gerloff trying as well.
Oh.
He's going to get through the chicane fast enough to where maybe he could create enough of a gap to where Tony can't do anything with him down the front straightaway. Yet to be seen, but there's a little bit of a gap there. Let's see what happens.
Uncharacteristic mistake from Garrett Gerloff leading this race. Now drops to third spot. Is Tony Elias going to come under fire from Garrett Gerloff? Garrett Gerloff's not close enough in this corner to make a move. Plus, that turn 1 pass can be
Cameron's in
a
there
big
a little
risk.
bit wide, and he's out there a little bit too far. Didn't cost him a lot. He gets up over here clean. And look at Garrett Gerloff. He's going to try to double back up underneath Tony as they go up into turn 4.
Gerloff with the move up the inside. Can he get it slowed down? He goes by Tony Elias.
Wow.
He transitions back, so that's second spot.
What a move. Now, this is a position we haven't seen. We've seen the Yamahas first and second, but we've never seen them other than race 1 in Atlanta for a brief moment. They haven't been this close in the points to each other. Is Tony going to sit there and watch a little bit and let these guys kind of go after each other a bit? That's to be seen.
Tony's one of the best at evaluating what he has on his motorcycle in terms of setup, tire combination, fuel load, all that. So Tony's really smart when it comes to this. That's why that last race at Sonoma was so uncharacteristic of Tony Elias. So, make no mistake, though, at the early days of this race, if Tony's not making moves, he might be letting that fuel load start to drop a little bit and increase the handling of his GSX-R 1000.
Really impressed with Garrett. He didn't take any time after his mistake in turn 1 to get right back in this race, and I think it was very key for him if he's going to have a shot at his teammate. See the two different lines? But it's going to be very key that he got by Tony as quickly as he did. Now, he should open up a gap. See the gap that opens up from that left to the flick back to the right and that chicane? The Yamahas seem to have the measure over Tony. Tony closes up a little bit on the brakes as they go into turn number 17, but he's not close enough. The distance he loses in the chicane is enough to keep these Yamahas in front of him down the front straightaway.
The ability of Garrett Gerloff and all these athletes after a big mistake that Gerloff had running off the track to gather himself back up and run front type of pace and try to hunt down his teammate Cameron Beaubier is absolutely incredible. Gerloff third in the championship, understands what's at stake here. Don't forget, Garrett Gerloff is under a 1-year contract as well, going for more than just race wins.
Here you go, Greg. He got a good drive up over, then he crossed back, and he's going to go up underneath Tony Elias as they headed down into that turn 3-4 section of the racetrack. That was a good, clean, solid pass by Gerloff, and one that I feel needed to happen for him to have any chance of actually winning this race.
And he was committed, Jason, right at that cross point.
Yep, and you're exactly right. And you can see what's happened. Garrett Gerloff through this first sector has already closed up onto the back of his teammate a little bit here as they go through that turn 7 to turn section that we talked about in our hot spots. The Yamahas look very fast and flowing through there. And we also know that when that fuel load goes down on the Yosh bike, it gets better, doesn't
That's
it?
what I'm saying, if Tony is sitting there. So Garrett Gerloff has clawed his way back onto the tail section of Cameron Beaubier. Can he have enough in the tank to try to make another pass for the lead? That's what this race is all about. So Cameron Beaubier, last time by, Jason, a 141.5, only a couple tenths off. But we know that Garrett Gerloff's capable of doing 40s.
Yep, and they both did 41.5. And if you remember, Cameron made a small mistake in turn 1, and then Garrett had to go by Tony Elias. So they both didn't get to run a pure clean lap. This is going to be Cameron's first really pure clean lap. Let's see what he gets it to. It's a 41.7, Greg, 41.3 for his teammate, and his teammate's already looking for spots that he can go past our reigning champ.
Cameron a little wide on that apex, able to gather it back up. Here's a place where Garrett Gerloff likes to pounce. Not that spot.
No, he's looking. He's looking.
He's looking at it, yeah.
And while that's happening, Tony Elias is going to be sitting there, and he's going to think, all right, he can see that Garrett has pulled that gap back up to Cameron, and he knows that eventually there's going to be a pass that's going to be made. The best absolute time, if you're in Tony's spot, to make a pass on anybody in front of you is after somebody's been passed. So in other words, if Garrett can get by Cameron anywhere, Tony's going to be right there to strike as well.
Tony, yeah. There was a little bit of a spin from Gerloff on that one when he kind of
got
bucked his way up over the top of the hill.
Yep.
And that's that couple of bike lengths and falling back into the clutches of Tony Elias.
Well, what you don't want to do is you don't want to get Tony feeling comfortable. If you start not being able to pull away, Tony Elias will come up with a whole nother plan of attack of what he wants to do. We know that he's a grinder. He will literally grind out those middle laps the best he can like he's doing now, and he's very good at evaluating situations. He'll figure out the places that he's a little bit stronger and try to take full advantage of these guys in those spots. But the one spot I think will be very difficult for him to pass anybody will be turn 17 out of this corner. This would be primarily a spot that I would think Tony could do something with people going into this corner, but he can't quite get close enough to them in the chicane.
Cameron Beaubier, #1, leading the way on that Monster Energy Yamaha factory racing machine in his bid to try to hold on to that #1 plate. But it's the rider in third place currently, Tony Elias, leading this championship as they come across the line. It's so close now.
Watch how Cameron's bike hopefully doesn't, he's been getting really out of shape up over this rise, and that gives Garrett Gerloff a chance. If Garrett's bike doesn't get as out of shape, he'll try to pass him up into turn 3. Here you go, Kyle Wyman running 4th spot right now. And who's he got right behind? Jake Gagne. Great to see Jake Gagne running in 5th spot. You can see Matthew Skoltz. Oh, I thought he was going to have a go.
So Jake Gagne continuing on the men. Jason talks about maybe 0.5%, each week, percent each week. He said, Gagne told me that in terms of his injuries on the motorcycle, he doesn't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, but how encouraging is this to see these guys running 4th and 5th against two guys like Matthew Skoltz and JD Beach, who are behind them, who have both been on the podium this year. This is the best race that we've seen out of both this pair so far. And you can definitely tell trackside that Ducati is starting to get some improvement. And a healthy Jake Gagne is what we all want, and he sounds like he's getting there. And the improvements on that bike as well.
To the sharp end of this race with Cameron Beaubier still leading. Obviously nothing between these three riders. It's really now for us to evaluate where are the Yamahas a little bit stronger than the Yoshimura Suzuki, because Tony's able to make it up in some spots and lose it in others. You can see the couple bike lengths in this section.
Yep.
This is a real quick spot for the Yamahas.
You see the gap, that gap just gets smoked. And then the two Yamahas, they run a very same line. You can see them both get out over the seam, and look how much tighter Tony can keep that Yoshimura Suzuki. He keeps it a little bit tighter through that right and relies on the electronics a little bit more. The Yamahas let the bike roll out through the middle of that corner and are able to cut it back. Now, I really feel this time Garrett look how close he is, Greg. It's all about how these bikes get up over this little rise. Both of them got up over there pretty well that time,
but
so that
Cameron
made it harder for Garrett.
Yeah, but you're right. Cameron's bike was a little bit looser coming over there as well. Of course, that just may be the way that he likes to ride it. I mean, nobody wants it like that, but he knows, okay, it's predictable. And that's the thing. If you got a predictable motorcycle that's bouncing on you, and it's the 1, 2, 3, and he can control it, he's okay with it.
Now, both these riders in the front on the Yamahas ran 41.5, Greg, identical lap times. Garrett's trying to get close enough to do something down here in turn 7. So we'll get back to lap times in a minute. We'll see if Gerloff has anything. Nope. Not this time for Cameron Beaubier as they go into turn 7. So they'll fall back into place. 41.5. Now, that's the first lap we've seen Tony kind of get close to the 42s. 41.9. So he's just losing a little bit of time now. But we've seen him do this before, haven't we? Where he drops back a second or so, maybe 2 seconds, and we think, uh-oh, he's out. He's kind of out of place here. And then he just starts chipping away.
So right now it's a battle between Beaubier and Gerloff. 2 Yamaha factory bikes going after it here at PittRace. How's this going to end? We'll find out after this. Oh, welcome back, and just like that, heading into the chicane, Cameron Beaubier made a mistake and relegated the lead to Garrett Gerloff.
Yep, and that's going to, now I really feel the 31 bike of Garrett Gerloff has pace. I think that he's going to put his head down. He's going to try to clean turn one the best that he can. It's going to be a matter now of Cameron Beaubier making some adjustments to try to go with his teammate. I believe that if he can get on the back of Gerloff, that's going to open that gap up to Tony Elias in third spot. 41.6, 42.1 that time, obviously for Cameron with that mistake. Tony Elias gets himself back down into a 41.7, but I think that Garrett Gerloff, if he can just get running these clean laps by himself, it'll draw the 2 Yamahas away from the Yoshimura Suzuki.
Here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex, Jason, it just seems like leading is a bit of a curse. It's difficult to do. Here's what happened.
And I'm going to look and see. Gets it.
Garrett
Gerloff
passed
just went underneath him.
Yep.
Yeah, there was no mistake made.
So that was a forced issue.
Yep. Garrett Gerloff got it. Sometimes you tell people, you don't have to complete the pass. You got to just get up alongside of him, and that's precisely what Garrett Gerloff just did there. He got up alongside Cameron enough to where Cameron couldn't tip the motorcycle in. So now, look how Cameron's bike just looks like it turns a little bit better through those S's than Garrett's there, just by how tight he could get through that left. But now these 2 guys are going to race in front of him, and Tony might just be sitting there watching this battle now to the end.
All the while, we know that the fuel load's dropping on the Yoshimura Suzuki. And Cam Beaubier, is he going to? Oh, they're side by side. Not a lot of real estate on that one. Gerloff has position into the chicane.
Yep. And that's the difference in lines. That's the difference in lines. Garrett Gerloff comes out of turn 14. Greg, out of turn 14 and brings the bike all the way back over to the right. Cameron Beaubier, as well as Tony Elias, they straight line that quite a bit more. When you're out and you're running laps on your own and there's nobody around you, it's not going to be as big a deal. But that's going to be the first shot that Cameron's going to show, hey, this could be a spot that I could do something with you later in the race.
This is EBC Brakes Superbike racing at its finest. 2 teammates going after each other, locked in a battle for second in the championship. One thing you don't want to see if you're the Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha factory team are these 2 riders roughing each other up and causing a disaster, because Tony Elias all the while is hanging back there.
Yeah, but both of them know that it's 25 points up and Tony potentially could just get 16. They both want to be the guy that fills in that. They don't want to be the guy that fills in that gap. David Anthony out of the race, bike parked up against the thing. Looks like a possible mechanical.
Could be, yeah, out of a possible or a really well-placed top 10 position for Anthony. Josh Herron rejoined the race, by the way. He's in 9th spot at the moment. So as we look at the 31, Garrett Gerloff, he's leading with Cameron Beaubier, Tony Elias. Jake Gagne has moved past Kyle Wyman for 4th place. Matthew Skoltz in 6th, J.D. Beach in 7th, Cam Peterson in 8th spot. Then you have Herron, Max Flinders.
Look at the difference in lines when they come out of this corner, Greg. This is turn 14. Cameron's close enough now to straight line this, but he's not going to be able to do it there. Garrett didn't pull it back over to the right as much as he had in some of the other previous laps, so he learned from that as well.
But race situation at this point, Jason, as they go through the chicane.
Garrett got through there a lot better. Cameron made a little mistake in the chicane there.
Yeah, but race situation, Jason, with this many laps left, as we head towards the stripe, it's going to be 7 to go. If Cameron Beaubier can now close back onto the rear tire of Garrett Gerloff, that might have been the move that snapped his back on this one. We'll see if Cam has got speed to climb back in, but I was going to say, Jay, you know, with this situation, if you were Cameron and you were able to continue to follow Garrett, do you try to make a move earlier, or you just let this race play out and do a last lap pass?
I think you probably let it play out a little bit, as we see Jake Gagne now has got past the Ducati of Kyle Wyman for this 4th spot.
Oh no!
Kyle Wyman goes down. You could see that Jake Gagne was in there a little bit too deep, and it just drug Kyle in there with him. And Kyle just makes a small mistake, tucks the front, and tips off.
Oh, so Kyle Wyman out of this one in a well-placed 5th place position in front of Matthew Skoltz. Jason, another look at it.
You can see Gagne's in deep.
Yep.
And it just kind of drew Kyle in there with him. Even though Kyle was on the correct line, maybe just a little bit too much speed and trail breaking off into there ever so slightly. And that hasn't been we've seen him tip off a few times this year very easy. That bike there just got a little bit twisted up in the grass.
Yeah, that's a lot of expensive carbon fiber bodywork destroyed on that one. Back up front we go. Beaubier has been able to reel Gerloff back in.
And to get back to your question, I think it's going to be a matter of when Cameron tries to make that pass. It's got to be, here we go again, Greg, 2 different lines. It's going to have to be something very defiant because it's a very difficult place to pass. They know that each other are on the exact same bike, same handling characteristics. They're doing things pretty much identical with the exception of some lines. So if Garrett opens up too many spots, Cameron's going to be there to take advantage of it.
Gerloff is masterful through that chicane right now.
He's good, no doubt. And Cameron Beaubier, to me, has adjusted his line a little bit out of turn 17, 18 onto this front straightaway from what I had seen him doing this morning. They come up over the top of turn 1, both bikes backing in.
Mistake from Beaubier.
Well, both bikes are backed in there, and the reason for that is because when you start your braking, you're going uphill, so you're driving the front end of the bike into the hill. As you get to the top, everything gets a little bit light. So,
yeah, well controlled by Beaubier. Less than 7 laps to go in this one. EBC Brakes Superbike, Kyle Wyman flying the flag for Ducati. Unfortunately for him, a mistake in turn number 1, and he is out of this one. On a motorcycle that continues to improve. Kyle Wyman on that genuine Broaster Chicken KWR Ducati. Hopefully we'll see him back at it tomorrow. Garrett Gerloff led this race early, had a mistake, ran wide, let Cameron Beaubier and Tony Elias back by. At this point of the race, Tony Elias is still there. Jay, only 1.6 seconds behind. This is not a checkout by these two at all.
No. This is what Tony does. He just keeps grinding out the laps. You got to keep putting the laps in, G-Dub, and I think that's what he's doing. He's masterful at it. We've seen him do it since he came to the United States. Look at the different lines. This is the time Cameron Beaubier is going to make the pass, Greg.
Unbelievable. So Cameron Beaubier has been setting that up for 3 laps. Through the chicane he goes. He got it. It wasn't perfect, though. Definitely Gerloff got a couple bike lengths back on that one.
He got through the chicane a little better. This is the last sector that Garrett Gerloff has been so good in. But the question is now, Cameron Beaubier is going to do his best to try to pull the pin here and get down, if he can, into those high 40s. Gerloff comes up alongside him. Not quite close enough there.
I don't know, Jason. I just have the feeling for Cameron Beaubier at this point as he spins it up, gets a little sideways. If it was too early to show his card. Side by side they go. Front tire in the air, rear wheel spinning. Gerloff, nope. He's going to hold on to second position for the time being. And you can see how technical, how difficult this racetrack is. It's absolutely spectacular.
Well, now they're coming into a section where, to me, Beaubier's bike looked like it was working really well down through all these S's. And Garrett Gerloff trying to come up alongside of him as they go off into turn 7. All the while, that little yellow spot in the back is just starting to creep a little closer, Greg.
Yeah, Tony Elias starting to creep in. 1.6 seconds the last couple times by, but we know how Tony operates.
Yep. And you can see just through the lefts, it's like Cameron gets his body and can get himself up over the top of the curbing a little bit different in that little spot. Now, Gerloff was able to make a pass into the chicane, 5 laps ago. And we'll have to see if Cameron, when he goes through this right, if he moves over to the right to avoid any of that. But you can see there's a little tiny bit of a gap. But now we're in Garrett Gerloff's sector, this third sector. He's owned it all weekend. You can see how good he gets through that chicane again. And Tony Elias is just sitting there going, come on, guys, just engage a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Let me have a nibble. Let me have a nibble.
Racing each other up through 17 and 18 they go. Left-hander, that's turn 19. Down the hill. Gerloff.
He's close now. Oh, he tried. So that last sector, Gerloff is just so fast in. As they came across the line, though, Cameron Beaubier was still able to lead across the line. Gerloff is fast at the end of it. You can see he's going to try to cross back over, and he's not close enough to do anything into turn 3 this lap. And Tony Elias has just closed up a ton.
All right, so Cam Beaubier leading the way. Garrett Gerloff. You can tell that there are sections when Gerloff wants to be leading because he's just got some corner speed and wants to get on the gas. There are corners where Garrett Gerloff's turning in earlier than Cameron Beaubier. This particular section, if Garrett is on the line, that one the momentum kind of carried him over.
The real fun part about being able to go out and watch the practice sessions for me is seeing two teammates on identically prepared motorcycles in the same building and everything else, but they both ride a little bit different. They both have the what would it be called? The racecraft. They're very individualized. You can see Gerlach trying to get a run here. The thing is, they both do things a little different. I saw it with Josh Hayes and a bunch of his teammates that he had over the years. Yeah, he's close. But look, the 24 just keeps creeping in closer and closer.
This is what Tony Elias does. He's never, ever out of it.
Look, he's got to run on him again into the chicane, Greg, and he's going to make that pass again into the chicane.
Garrett Gerloff to the lead, into the chicane. A beautiful move. All the while, here comes Tony Elias. So Garrett Gerloff will have the lead, at least for the moment. This race up front is furious right now as they keep going back and forth. But a big gap now for Garrett Gerloff. He's gone to school on Cameron Beaubier, and he thinks he's got something in the tank to creep away.
But you called it. You said you could see it in his riding, and you're exactly right. Being able to see, there's just spots where Garrett Gerloff is better, and there's little spots where Cameron Beaubier is better.
There's Sam Verterico, the 17, as he has the leaders coming up on him. Blue flags will be out, indicating to him that the front of the race is coming after him. Beaubier's got some work to do. Maybe Garrett just felt at the pace that they were going for the moment.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. With each pass, it'll get more aggressive. It has to be, because you're kind of letting each other know where your cards are being played. And so the whole point of it is if Gerloff has got some pace now, now's the time he's got to really try to show it. And you can see they've caught Sam Verterico in the S's, and Garrett Gerloff goes by on the right-hand side. Let's see if the other two get through as clean. This is all just about, you're going to see Garrett Gerloff is going to appear on the right-hand side of our screen up into the chicane. And I can't tell you, for you folks at home that are watching this on TV or our Live Plus, how big of a pass it is to be able to do it in that particular section. And what happens? Precision you have to have. But see what happens the second Gerloff takes the lead? You see the gap between second and third now starts to grow. He actually pulls Cameron away from Tony Elias a little bit.
Yeah, so that margin was 0.7 of a second, and it was a lot less than that just 2 laps ago. So Gerloff feeling that he's got more pace than Cameron Beaubier, and he's proving it at the moment. But Jason, this racetrack just seems difficult to lead.
It does.
It really does.
Yep.
There's so many mistakes that are made when you lead around here.
You just hit the nail on the head, Greg. There's so many places. And in fact, this spot that they're going up right now, up over into turn 1, it's so easy. Look at, he's wide again, is Cameron. Just a little bit wide. You can see he was about 4 or 5 feet from the apex of that corner. He's made it work because he's a professional and he can make that stuff happen. For a lot of us, we get in there a little bit wide. We start thinking, not going to make the corner. Where's the grass, right? Mm-hmm. He gets in there a little bit wide. He's able to control it. We saw Garrett Gerloff make a mistake there in turn 1 earlier. Jake Gagne right now holding on to this 4th spot. Tremendous effort out of the Scheibe Racing BMW.
Absolutely, and this is what they're racing for as well. Good finishing positions. Continue to fund the effort for this team. Flying the flag for BMW here in the United States, working his way, riding his way back into a healthy position. Now, it's about a lap and a half to go in this one, by the way. So if Cameron Beaubier has got anything to get back on the rear wheel of his teammate, he's got to start doing it, because the amount of corners left in this race is starting to run out.
And when you look at the lap times, 41.2, 41.1 that last time by, they had been running in the 41.3s, 4 area. Tony Elias was in the 41.7s, 41.9s we saw him up to. Now they've all, including Tony, they've all dropped their pace a little bit. Tony that last time by, Tony Elias the last time by went 41.4. He just went as fast as first sector of the race. And all the while, Cameron Beaubier now is starting to creep back up onto his teammate Greg. When we come across the line this time, it's going to be 1 to go.
If you're not on the edge of the sheet right now, you better get there, because we know your heart rate's up watching this race. Cameron Beaubier is not done with Garrett Gerloff. But Gerloff knows as he takes the white flag what he's got to do to rip this lap in order to not give Cameron Beaubier a chance to fight back. And he has got a good margin, probably, what, 1/10 of a second right now.
40.9 to 40.8. I think if the pass comes at all for Cameron Beaubier, it's going to be into turn 12. I think that's going to be the spot that he's going to try to take a shot. I think Garrett's really good all down through this section. The S corners are where Cameron's bike seems to shine ever so slightly. He's drawn up on the back. Oh, big slide. Now that might just take that prediction of mine right out the window.
Beaubier was along for the ride, And wow, that Yamaha R1 kept him from getting spit off that motorcycle.
Wow.
So Cameron Beaubier was trying.
He still is.
He's still there.
He still is. And really, they go through this next left, and that gap that was just created from that big slide would have been this would have been the spot that I think he would have tried to do something coming into this turn 12 section. They're going to go in here. Now, he knows he's got to try to get close enough because Garrett, once he comes through this left and this next right down the hill out of 14, he's just not close enough.
Garrett's so good through the chicane in the final section. Cameron Beaubier, that was his spot when he passed for the lead last time, but he's not close enough. Now here's Garrett Gerloff's section. He goes in there. He gets it clean. Beaubier's trying to get a drive on him. He can't do it, so now he's going to get hard on the binders. Beaubier closes up within one bike length, but we know when he twists the grip that he's got some spinning issues.
Yep.
And up and out of the saddle he goes. The 31, Garrett Gerloff, comes onto the front straightaway, uncontested. He'll come across the line and take his third EBC Brakes Superbike victory. A 1-2 for the Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha factory team. And Tony Elias on the Yoshimura Suzuki Factory Racing GSXR 1000 will stand on the podium as we await the arrival of the 32 of Jake Gagne back in action here in the United States, and a solid fourth place finish for the Scheibe Racing team. Wheel in the air just ahead of Matthew Skoltz.
Yeah,
Margin of
great
victory
effort.
in this one, Jason, 0.3 of a second.
And if I'm not mistaken, Garrett schooled these guys at Laguna, but at Sonoma and both Tony had crashed and Cameron had crashed. So this is a straight fight. Garrett Gerloff just took it to these guys today. He made a mistake at turn one, had to go back past both of them. In fact, had to go by Cameron a couple of times. So tremendous effort, Garrett Gerloff and crew.
I'm not going to say that I told you so about PittRace coming here, but I told you so.
Yep.
Garrett Gerloff will tell you that where he felt that his season changed his rookie year was Utah. I argued with him yesterday saying, you know what, you showed tremendous speed at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. And for me, it was where we saw the turning point for Garrett Gerloff with his Superbike on this Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha factory racing bike. It's a race course that just looks like Garrett Gerloff. It's fast, it's flowing, he's unbelievable through the chicane. Cameron Beaubier tried. I mean, he really tried. He knew he had an opportunity to try to get more points back from Tony Elias, as it would have been 9 points in the championship, which would have taken us back into the 20s in terms of point gap. But it's going to be 4 points that Tony Elias will give back to Cameron Beaubier in this one. He didn't give it back to him easily either because Tony Elias was hard on it. All right, Jay, take a look at this. And this
going
is Gerloff.
Through that chicane. Man, of all the places to be great at, this is the sketchiest one, I think. And Gerloff, but he's got so much confidence.
Yeah.
That's just a guy that knows what he's got underneath him and how good his bike is and how solid it is in those spots. To make that pass there like that, incredible.
And I think he's saying, yeah.
Yeah, of course he is.
A little louder than that.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, Garrett Gerloff out of the Houston, Texas area, Jason. After we were at Sonoma, he drove 30-plus hours home, went down to Southern California, got all of his stuff, went back home to Houston, got on his supermoto bike, and he supermotos every day out there. It's his way to keep riding, and it's the closest thing he can get to road racing. So not only was he riding high on confidence of the last, by the way, Garrett Gerloff's podium streak continues, Jason.
Wow.
So we haven't seen Garrett Gerloff off the podium since race number 4 of the season, which was Circuit of the Americas race number 2. Gerloff's had a string of third-place finishes, 3 second-place finishes, and now 3 race wins in his second season aboard that factory Superbike. What a race. What racecraft we saw from Garrett Gerloff. He had to do it several different ways, and after a big mistake. And also, Jason, Cameron Beaubier, by the way, set the fastest second sector split of the race on the last lap.
That's after his mistake in the first sector,
After his
isn't
mistake,
it, right?
yes.
Yep.
And set a personal best in sector number 3. So Beaubier, even though that tire was spinning,
never quits.
And this group of fans, they come to these East Coast races, and they love them some Garrett Gerloff.
Love it. Love seeing it. It's great.
And yes, he says, and he punches the team down here. Oh, great team. The gloves are everywhere.
That's fantastic.
I love seeing it.
Yep, so it's Gerloff, Beaubier, Elias, Jake Gagne in 4th, Matthew Schultz in 5th, JD Beach ends up in 6th spot. Josh Herron, after getting off the racetrack in a crash, is able to finish in 7th ahead of Cameron Peterson, Max Flinders, Sam Bertarico, and Jake Lewis will finish a couple laps down in this one, as you can see in these results. So that margin of victory, 0.3 of a second. Tony Elias, it looked like we thought he had something to the end, but when Garrett Gerloff got by, he set a torrid pace and was able to get ahead of Tony Elias by 3 seconds. You can see Matthew Schultz just a tick behind Jake Gagne. Yep. They'll go to work. Hey, good bit of data for everybody in this one who was able to finish the race, and props to Josh Herron in 7th for getting back on the racetrack and getting that information as we head into race number 2 for tomorrow. Jake Lewis as well. It's going to be very interesting to go down there after this race, Jason, and have a conversation with all the riders in the EBC Brakes Superbike Championship to find out how their races went exactly.
Yeah, well, I know how the race went for us. It was exciting to see these 3 guys battle at the front. Tony Elias there on the number 24 bike will be doing some work with his crew tonight to figure out a way that he can just maybe drop 2-3 of a second a lap. And I think some of the work has got to be done over in that chicane area to make the bike maybe turn a little better. That's just an opinion from up here that we could see, because that was where it seemed like he was losing the most time.
Coming up after this, we're going to head to Hannah and Victory Lane to talk to our top 3 riders and see how their race went for them, because it was awesome to watch. Fox Sports coverage of MotoAmerica Superbike racing from Pittsburgh International Race Complex has been brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the 2019 MotoAmerica Championship. All right, welcome back to the Championship of Pittsburgh, as we saw a heart pounder of a race. Jason Pridmore, 0.3 of a second, the margin of victory. And I think what we saw are, well, I think setup is definitely going to be talked about, because with Cameron Beaubier, for sure, you know, it looked like that first lap of the race that Cameron was up and out of the saddle and things were spinning, and then we saw it also later on in the race. And obviously we know that those Dunlop control tires, the same tire combination was used on Garrett Gerloff's bike.
Yeah, and I mean, how about the save as he came out of there? Yeah. Unreal. Let's get down to Hannah Lopa with Garrett Gerloff.
Garrett, you knew Cam was not going to make that last lap easy on you. How were you able to ride defensively in order to pull off this win?
I mean, I started the lap riding defensive, and then I ended it trying to just hit my lines, because I felt like I had pace. Man, my Yamaha R1 is working excellent today. It was working perfect all weekend, and even though we didn't get the pole today, like, I knew we had consistent race pace. So that's kind of what kept my head in the right place and ready for the race and everything. And I almost completely forgot, but I'm such an idiot and ran off the track in like lap 2 or 3 or something like that. Luckily, it wasn't too bad, but I've already done that a couple times in practice. I should have known better, but hopefully tomorrow I can make that correction in the beginning of the race. But yeah, I'm pumped, man. The fans here are awesome at Pittsburgh. Man, all these guys that came out, thanks so much. Thanks to MotoAmerica for having an awesome event out here. And man, like I said, just my team. I'm so pumped that this is the 3rd win, so I get Mike Canfield, not the last guy on my team, but the 3rd guy on my team that gets to go up on the podium with me. So super pumped. Thanks to Cortec Leathers, HAC helmets, CD boots, everybody that supports the Yamaha Financial Services, Monster Energy, Graves Yamaha team, and man, I'm pumped. I want to keep going. Like, I'm ready for tomorrow, man. I'm ready. Hey, I'm ready to be in the pressure seat, all right? Put me in the pressure seat. I'm ready.
Thanks, Garrett.
What do you say after that, Jason?
What is the pressure seat? You were just there. You were just there.
I mean, and thank you, Garrett Gerloff, for making it entertaining, because he did check out, and then he ran off again and made this thing. He opened the door for a very interesting race for us.
After that, didn't we? This was his section, Greg. As they came down through turn 14, he's just carrying so much speed, and you can see the amount of speed he carries through there. He's able to sneak up the inside of Cameron Beaubier going into this chicane. And that, like I said during the telecast, is a very big move. It's a hard move to do, but he does it so clean and so well. So hats off to him. Yeah. I want to know what the pressure seat is.
I don't know.
He's there.
But I'm going to tell you something. You're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, I don't enjoy my job as much as Garrett Gerloff enjoys his job. Yeah. Get a new job. Because he has got it. Now, one guy who he had a very interesting race is Cameron Beaubier, and he's with Hannah.
Cam, Greg and Jason just were speculating. You had a very interesting race. Tell us about your battle with your teammate.
Yeah, at the beginning I got shuffled back there a little bit, which I was pretty frustrated about because it's always pretty hard to pass Tony here. And yeah, I just kind of got stuck behind, and then I saw Garrett started to creep away. And man, hats off to him. He's been riding so good all weekend. Yesterday he was setting the pace in both practices and also this morning, and I was able to nip him in Super Pole, but man, he had really good pace today in the race, and it's pretty impressive, and I'm happy for him. So we were able to, close up the championship by a few points. It's not a win, but I gave it everything I had. I slid pretty good in the last couple laps, especially the last. I think going up turn 5, I had a pretty big moment behind Garrett, and it stretched it out a little bit, and I couldn't even make an attempt to pass him. So yeah, big thanks to Bell Alpine Stars, Amanda Bell for keeping me safe, my amazing team, Monster Energy, Yamaha, the R1's the place to be around here. So really looking forward to tomorrow. Gonna do some homework and come back swinging tomorrow.
What do you think it was that caused you to kind of come up and out of that seat behind Garrett there? And do you think that's the reason ultimately you were not able to pass him for the win?
That was the reason that I wasn't able to get close enough to make an attempt, But like I said, hats off to him. He was riding really good. I think I was just asking a little bit too much of the Dunlop rear tire. I was trying to, squirt out of that corner and get a good drive over it so I could get right on him going into the S's and try to get creative from there. But today wasn't the day, but got tomorrow.
Thanks, Cam. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think, at least from what we saw, I think Cam gets the amount of saves award for the race.
You ever been around your friends on the racetrack and they say, oh, I'm sliding everywhere, and you get behind them and you don't see the bike moving? And Karen's like, I had a couple slides.
Yeah,
you had a couple slides.
Couple
we
slides.
saw those.
Yeah, wait
those
till you
are
see
big.
the video of just how big that one was.
In all seriousness, looking back at this, I think the big thing for Cameron is he's got to get better starts. He's got to try to be the guy that gets out front a little early.
Yeah.
In the last 3 or 4 rounds, Greg, we've seen him get shuffled back 3rd, 4th, and even a little bit further back, I believe, at Laguna or one of them. And he puts a lot of pressure on himself early to try to get by these guys. And without that mistake today, I think Gerloff, he may have won this race by 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's why it was an entertaining race, because here at Pittsburgh International Race Complex, you have to have laser focus the entire race to lead successfully. So, but 3rd place was Tony Elias. He was there. He was only 3 seconds off the pace, and he's with Hannah.
Tony, where were you looking for opportunities to really try and close that gap to those Yamahas out front?
Well, I'm really happy with this 3rd position back on the podium. It's good after the crash in Sonoma. I gave all I had. Since this morning we were struggling a little bit more compared to Yamahas, but I keep my rhythm. I didn't have any more. When Cameron started to lead the race, I could back to the first group, but when Gerloff back to the lead, was impossible. So 3rd position is good. We only lost 4 points. Could be much worse. I lost the rear so bad in the one of the longest corners. Thanks God, my team gave me a good traction control. So overall good. I could analyze them. I know where we are struggling, where we mistake. So tomorrow we'll try a new setup for the warm up, and I hope put the things a little bit more difficult tomorrow.
What do you think about the emergence of Gerloff as a real threat to this championship title here?
This is a really good track for Garrett. Always, he's been so strong. 600 Superbike. This year even faster. So he has something extra, maybe his body size or his riding style. Whatever is super good. 3 fighting for the championship. This is hot. So, and I'll try to do my job the best as I can. And tomorrow I have big job this afternoon. So tomorrow we'll see. We will be interesting.
Thanks, Tony. Congratulations.
Yeah, Jason, it's definitely hot.
Well, you know what's great is that he said, I followed those guys today, basically, and I saw where we need to improve. So when he says he's going to come out with another setup, that's we're throwing the kitchen sink at this, and we're going to figure out a way that I can not just follow these guys, but compete, rough them up, beat them, whatever it takes.
Plus, Cameron Beaubier said the same thing, basically.
Yep.
Got to do the homework tonight. We know tomorrow's racing is going to be closer, and we expect faster, especially if the sun comes out on a warmer day tomorrow. All right, so here's what's happened in the championship. It was 34. Now it's 30. And Garrett Gerloff only 1 point behind Cameron Beaubier. Now, it may look like a ton of points, but over the last 2 races, Tony Elias has lost 9.
Unbelievable. Well, when you consider how big his points lead, 59 points just 2 races ago. 59-point lead. Then he throws it down the road at Sonoma, and then we come here and he gets beat by the 2 Yamahas, and this gap could go away quickly.
125 points remain to get in this championship for 2019. It is not a slam dunk for Tony Elias by any stretch of the imagination. Unfortunately for David Anthony, who has had an outstanding season and shown moments of tremendous speed, he's 10th in the championship. Max Flinders 11th, San Puerto Rico. Kyle Wyman up and down with his bike. Hopefully that team will get that bike back together and race again for a top 5 finish. All right, we'll take a break on our coverage here on FS2. On the other side, we're going to continue our coverage from the Championship of Pittsburgh, so don't go anywhere.